Okay, 3 words: walk, stick, sharpen. I'm going to look at the wisdom of godly friendships. The other day I received an email that spoke about, now the clicker's not working. There we go. The other day I received an email about a friendship recession that is happening around the world. And that caught my attention because many of us are worried about a financial recession that we're seeing. So we're seeing, because of the war and what's happening globally, less investments, less spending, less growth. And I think many of us are a little bit worried about what is happening in the world when it comes to economics and finances. But how many of you are worried about a friendship recession that is happening? A lot of the younger generation, a lot of people are turning to AI for companionship. So they're spending more time talking to their ChatGPT AI friend than they are to real life people. Then we see the busyness of life that many of us experience, and because of the busyness of life, what happens is we are then it's less frequent that we are then spending time with the people that we call friends. So I'm going to throw some names out today. We're not going to get offended. Brian, who's sitting here today, is a friend of mine. I haven't seen him recently because life has been busy. And if we were to go this week and go and have a cup of coffee, we'd probably just try and catch up. How is Dante doing? How's work going? How's gym going? How's fitness? All those things. We will catch up on our calendar and news, but we may not get into how is your heart. So what happens? We get busy. We then know about the headlines of your friends and what is happening in their life, but we lose the depth that we long for when it comes to deep friendships and deep relationships. So this is the friendship recession that we're talking about. You still have friends. It's not like we don't have friends anymore, but the depth of friendship is no longer there, and it's becoming thinner. Now, there are studies that talk about the quality of our friendships. There is this study that's been going on since 1938. They started off by studying 724 men, and then they included the wives and the children. But their findings talks about the quality of our relationships is a strong predictor in our long-term happiness and our health and how we flourish, especially near the end of our lives. So one of the findings of this study is quite interesting. They said this: what best predicted who would be healthy and happy at the age of 80 was not your cholesterol level or the money in your bank account. It had to do with the quality of your friendships and relationships at the age of 50. So they said this: the strongest predictor was the quality of their closest relationships and friends at the age of 50 had a big influence on the quality of your life at the age of 80. Now, for all of those people who are young sitting here this morning that are far away from 50, you're like, oh, I've got a lot of time. I want to say the friends that I had when I finished school a lot of them are my closest friends today. So the investment that you're making now in your friendships today, I'm 3 years from 50, so I have great friends and I'm blessed with that. It's a good indicator of my happiness at the age of 80. Now, what happens if you are past 50 and you are 60? Does that mean you're going to be a grumpy old man at the age of 80? I don't think so, but we still can invest in relationships and trust that we can enjoy the benefit of healthy friendships the older we get. The other finding through the University of Kansas says this: it takes 40 to 60 hours to move from acquaintances to casual friends, 80 to 100 hours to become genuine friends, and more than 200 hours to become close friends. Now, those are just stats. What do 200 hours look like to really develop a close friendship? Well, not every hour carries the same relational value, right? Just because you work with someone and you see them every day doesn't mean that that is the 200-hour investment that you need to become a close friend. session about wisdom for everyday, ordinary life. If you were to take a moment and think about your closest friends, are your friendships going deeper? And for some of us, we have pursued relationship with a friend and they haven't pursued relationship back with us. And today we sit with rejection and we feel betrayed, or we shared something intimate with them and it got out, and this is a difficult topic, right? So it can be sensitive, and I want to pastorally try and encourage you. And we're going to look at 6 verses today from the book of Proverbs that will talk about wisdom for building strong, healthy, and godly friendships. So we're going to look at 3 words: walking, sticking, and sharpening. The first proverb we're going to look at is Proverbs 13, verse 20, that says, "Walk with the wise and become wise. Associate with fools and get in trouble." What does it mean to walk with the wise? This morning I want to start off by encouraging you with this principle: wise friends shape your direction. I want to say to the young people in this room, show me your friends and I will show you your future. Show me the people that you are going to invest in, build your life around, walk with. They will give me an indication of who you are becoming. Walking talks about time spent. It speaks of proximity. It speaks of shared direction. It speaks of traveling through different seasons of life together. And this first proverb talks about walking with the wise, and you then become wise. Here's a follow-on to that. Proverbs 22, verse 24 to 25. "Don't befriend angry people or associate with hot-tempered people, or you will learn to be like them and endanger your soul." It's hard in Joburg. Most people are angry. So how are we going to find friends? The point is this: anger is contagious. So is gossip. So is racism. So is offense. So is bitterness or cynicism. If you are going to spend the quality of your time with a racist person, it will influence your words that are going to come out of your mouth. The opposite is also true. Faith is contagious. Passion for Jesus is contagious. Spending time with people who trust God and love God will strengthen your faith and your journey with the Lord. So again, show me the people that you are walking with, and it will be a good indicator of the direction that you are walking. The people we walk with will shape the people we become. I do a CrossFit class at 8 o'clock, and there are times where it's just a group of predominantly ladies who... I will be careful. Everything now in church is online, and the problem is it gets out there. But there can be days where the class that I'm training with, they just don't feel like being there. So everything that comes out of their mouth is a complaint and a whinge and a moan and then, let's just go and get coffee at Plato. Why are we even here? And then there are times where the coaches or a guy called Miguel will come and train with us. And wow, when you've got someone stronger, faster, more passionate training with you, it does something to you, right? All of a sudden, I'm trying to get that extra rep. All of a sudden, I'm trying to train a little bit harder. Are you surrounding yourself with people that push you to be a better person? Or are you surrounding yourself with people who are pulling you down? And it's wisdom for the young people. Choosing those closest to you is an important decision you will make with regard to the person you want to become one day. Tim Keller I've adapted what he said, but in the early part of your life, you are largely shaped by your family. In the rest of your life, you are increasingly shaped by your friends. So walk with the wise and become wise. Surround yourself with fools, you'll become like a fool. We are formed in community. I want to also talk about this point very quickly. Not every friendship we have is an invitation for them to necessarily speak into your life. Jesus was known as a friend of sinners, right? I'm not calling us Christians not to have people that are unsaved as our friends, but it's differentiating between the people we journey with closely, that we allow to speak into our life, and then us befriending other people that we hope to influence their lives, right? So who's influencing me and who am I trying to influence when it comes to people that I know at the gym or people that we know in our complex or in our community groups? So Proverbs 12 verse 26, the righteous choose their friends carefully. I want to encourage you to choose those closest to you carefully. So, first step is who you walk with will determine the direction you go in your life. Secondly, a wise friend sticks with you. Now, I went down some rabbit holes when it comes to friendship. Here is a picture of two ladies who were friends from the age of 11. They are now 89 years old, and they've just checked into a retirement home. I'm guessing their husbands have died. Sorry, my wife always says, don't presume. Okay, maybe their husbands are still around. But what a beautiful picture of friendship that has stood the test of time. From the age of 11, they have journeyed through life together. Friendships stick together. And I want to give you two scenarios. Would you choose scenario one? You drive the latest BMW. You're on your way to a fancy restaurant. Let's call it the Jamie Oliver restaurant. You go in and you sit by yourself and you have a meal by yourself. Option two is you drive a car that's got 200,000 Ks on, but it's filled with 3 close friends, and you drive to Rockamama's and you have average burgers together. Which scenario would you like to play out? I've got some BMW fans here, and they may be thinking more the BM option. I'm sorry. Let's just call it a new car versus an older car with some friends. Don't you have a longing in your heart to have people that know you and you know them, and you can call friends, someone that you can call on? So point number 2 is there are friends who destroy each other, but there are real friends who stick closer than a brother. Now, this is an interesting principle in a culture which was very family-centered when this proverb was written. Family was everything. A brother was connected to you by blood, by history and obligation. Now, he's talking about friends that can stick closer than a brother. When you look at the Hebrew word of this word, sticks, it carries the idea of cleaving, a deliberate commitment flowing from deep affection. Here's the difference. A friend says, I have chosen to share my life with you. I am choosing to remain with you. Family is given to us. Yes, I've got 3 sisters. God gave me 3 sisters. But I have friends who have chosen me that are not blood. There's something beautiful about good family friendships and relationships, but there's also something so beautiful about non-blood people choosing us through our struggles and our disappointments, and choosing us through life, choosing us to journey with us even when we make silly decisions, and our decisions can be destructive and we can make mistakes. I am not the most perfect friend. I have tried to learn how to listen more than I speak. My wife has taught me this principle: stop trying to change someone when they're trying to share. So I want to listen to my friends and not try and be a pastor and just give advice. I can be busy at times and I can fail to check in with my friends, not just only when they're going through difficult times, but to celebrate their small victories, the wins that they have. I also have friends who are not perfect. I have a friend who at one point in our life I would share quite personal things with. And every time I shared on a topic, he would always take that moment to kind of say how amazing he's doing in that area. So if I were to say like, man, we're just struggling financially at the moment, he's like, wow, I got a bonus and we've got all this money. Or like, oh, my wife and I are struggling to connect and our intimacy isn't great. And he's like, man, we're doing it like 3 times a day. And I'm like, that's not help. That's a joke. It wasn't 3, it was 2. I'm like, and I had to say to him, you're not helping me share my struggles because you're not being sensitive to what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to get is, none of us are perfect friends, right? And none of us have perfect friends. It is us, broken people, going through life trying to be good friends to those that we journey with. Proverb number 4, Proverbs 17, verse 17. A friend is always loyal, and a brother is born to help in time of need. Friendship is tested in crisis, but it's built in ordinary life. You know, when you go through a crisis, that's not the time to be trying to make a good friend. That's where friendship's revealed, but it's built in the ordinary. And if you want a friend there in your corner when you're going through a tough time, build the friendship now while the going is good. When I ended up in a hospital room, I had people that I know I could have said, come and be here with me. But there were people there with me because I had built the friendship in the mundane, ordinary life. And they were there in that moment. Do you have people who will be there in your corner when the going gets tough? Those are the friends that we want to be there, that will be loyal for us, that will bring us a meal, or phone us, or pray for us, that will cry with us and laugh with us. Hundreds of ordinary moments of faithful presence with people. It's hard in a world where people move around a lot and you're changing jobs and you're in a different city or a different country. I had a friend who moved down to Cape Town, and they ended up moving back because they just couldn't break into friendship circles. Everyone that they met with at the school had years of friendship. They were in high school together, they had their friendship cliques, and they weren't looking for new friends. They ended up coming back to Joburg. This is a difficult topic, right? To find a loyal friend who will stick with us. Now, for many people, again, going down rabbit holes, there are people that want to, there is a lot written about the benefit of friends outside of just your marriage and your immediate family. A spouse cannot meet every relational need in your life. You need friends. A family cannot offer everything that godly friendships provide. Friendship has a unique and irreplaceable place in a flourishing life. So I want to encourage you, pursue relationship, pursue friendship, be a friend to someone so that you can then be able to draw friendship from them. So we walk with the wise and we become wise. A loyal friend sticks closest to us through the different seasons. And then thirdly, a wise friend shapes us or sharpens us. We all know this proverb well. As iron sharpens iron, so a friend sharpens a friend. Who likes friction? Who likes metal on metal? Some friction is good because we need a sharpening friend that helps us see what we cannot see by ourselves, that challenges our excuses, questions our motives, confronts us when we're drifting, encourages the gift that God has placed within us not to be neglected, reminds us of who God has called us to be, or maybe calls us back to Jesus. A real friend does not merely help you feel better, a real friend helps you become better. And we were with a group of people on Friday night, and I asked the question to the person that was celebrating their birthday, do you have, and here's the principle, here's the verse, sorry, it's a bit small for some reason. Proverbs 27, verse 5 to 6. An open rebuke is better than hidden love. Wounds from a sincere friend are better than kisses from an enemy. So my question to the birthday boy was this. Have you had friends that have said truthful things to you that has ended up wounding you? Or have you only had friends in your life who have chosen not to speak the truth? Look what it says. An open rebuke, so speaking out something that they see or have seen in your life, is better than hidden love. Wounds from a sincere friend are better than kisses. Do you have people in your life who will say the hard things that could end up hurting you, wounding you? And after they've said those things, how many of us, or let me take a step back, how many of us are too afraid to say those things because we don't want the relationship to change, right? We don't want that awkwardness that comes from going, hey Matt, I've just noticed in your parenting style that your daughter has you wrapped around your finger and this is going to be a problem one day. He can either take that very personally and it could wound him. I'm not talking about you, Kira. I'm just giving a general example. To choosing not to say the difficult, choosing not to have the difficult conversations because you say, I love him too much not to hurt him. I love this friendship too much not to lose it. Because we heard stories of where people have spoken out and that relationship was never the same again. Proverb calls that where you remain silent, it calls it hidden love. Love that never speaks may not be love at all. And there's a difference between the knife of an attacker and the knife. There is a difference between the knife of an attacker and the scalpel of a surgeon. Both cut, but one cuts to destroy, while the other cuts in order to heal. Not everything that a friend says is done with the right heart. It can be critical, it can be mean, it can just be because of jealousy or whatever it is, and it can wound, but then there is a conversation that you can have with a loved one where their intention to speak truth in love is your motivation. Before correcting a friend, it's important to ask 4 questions. Is it true? Have I really wrestled with what I'm going to say? Is it necessary? Am I the right person to even have this conversation? Is my motivation love? And am I willing to remain after the conversation? Do you have people like that in your life that can speak truth to you, and even though it hurts, that you respect them enough to say, I respect what you've said and I'm going to take it to God and I'm going to wrestle it through? Thank you for being honest with me. It's a blind spot. I didn't see it. And I want to ask you today, are you courageous enough to say those sort of things to your friends? Or do you choose not to confront? Do you just choose to, I'll just be there for them when their world falls apart? Then warn them because you see, why are you buying another car when every time I meet with you, you're telling me how you're struggling financially? Like, when do I say something? Sorry, Siri. A wise friend sharpens you because they care more about who you are becoming than keeping every conversation comfortable. I want to encourage you to walk with the wise because every friendship has a direction. Wise friends stick with you because love is expressed through faithful presence. A wise friend sharpens you because real love is willing to speak the truth. So the question is, we keep thinking we love pointing at others. Do I have friends like this? I want you to take the fingers that are pointing back at you. Am I becoming a friend like this to someone else? Am I helping people walk towards Jesus? Are they wiser when they spend time with me? Am I remaining when life becomes difficult? Do I stick with my friends? Am I courageous enough to speak truth in love? And then am I humble enough to receive it when people speak to me? So I guess my question today with this email I received, are you experiencing, is it something we should be worried about? A friendship recession that is happening, maybe without us being aware of it? I'd like to make you aware of it. Not just what's happening in our pockets financially, but what's happening in our heart when it comes to the people we journey with. I'm going to leave a friendship challenge for you this week. Before the end of the coming week, I want you to ask God, is there someone I need to reach out to and organize a coffee with? Put a meal or a coffee date or a phone call on the calendar. And not just do a catch-up, but ask the hard questions. How is your heart? Some questions you can ask, how are you really doing? Not just surface level, but what's going on in your heart? Where are you struggling? What is God doing in your life? Is there anything in my life that I'm not seeing clearly? Invite someone to speak into your life. And then we support one another. How can I pray for you this week? Friendship goes beyond just having good intentions. It grows through intentional presence. There are many things that we have good intentions for, but don't end up becoming a reality in our lives, right? So as I started off this morning, I have been a bit nervous again to speak on some of these practical topics, just because I know for some this is a difficult topic. And maybe Sam can just jump on the keyboard, because I just wanted to just take a moment, because in our prayer meeting this morning, we just pray for a God who knows your situation, knows your relationships, a God that can heal wounds that we carry. If friendship is a place where you've been deeply hurt, Jesus is our healer this morning. Where someone you have trusted has betrayed your confidence and has hurt you. Perhaps you have been excluded, or a friend has left without any explanation. I can this morning just try and point you to Jesus, who is a close friend, can be a close friend to you. Have you thought about Jesus and the people that he journeyed with for many years, that his closest friends betrayed him? Some of his friends walked away when the going got tough. The wounds that Jesus experienced didn't stop him from loving others. And they don't have to have the final word over your life. If you've had tough relationships, it doesn't have to be, this is how your life is going to end up. Jesus does not want the wound that you carry to become your prison. He doesn't want one person's failure to rob you of every future friendship that he may still want to bring into your life. Jesus is the faithful friend. There's no greater love than this, than a man who lays down his life for a friend. And we can experience the closeness and friendship with Jesus. It's beautiful. But I know there are people here today saying, man, I want just a real friend that I can touch and hug and phone and send voice notes to. And I know this is hard, because I've had people even leave this church because they didn't find the friends that they were hoping to find. And that's sad for me, because there's opportunity to find real deep community and friendship in a church like this. I want us to be a family, a church that is a community of friends of friends. And maybe you've been new to the church, or you've trying to break into what can seem like cliques and relationships that have been around for a long time. I want to trust that the Holy Spirit would help us in this area. What does it mean to be a friend to someone else and then enjoy friendship? What does it mean to pursue people and trust that they replicate that back to you? But I want you to take a moment, just if you don't mind, just closing your eyes, just to allow God to examine your heart this morning. I want you to think of the people closest to you. Maybe the people you have lost, the pain that you have experienced when it comes to friendship and relationship. And I want you to bring it to Jesus this morning. And for some, it's a praise report. Thank you, God, for all the good friends that I have and the depth of relationship that it's growing. For others of us, it might be acknowledging I'm experiencing a bit of a friendship recession. That I don't have people that actually know the state of my heart, and I've stopped actually trying to find the state of my friends' hearts. So I invite you, Holy Spirit, to just come and minister to people right now where there is pain and hurt and rejection and loss. That you would free us from some of those prison cells. Heal what has been broken in us. Help us not to allow yesterday's disappointments to determine tomorrow's relationships. God, would you bring wise and faithful friends to us? Would you teach us to walk with people? Talk about the loneliness pandemic. For those sitting here in this room that feel alone and know what loneliness feels like. One of those things that I wish I could do is I could just give you friendship. I can't just be like, here it is. It's got to happen organically. You've got to find it. Can we just take a moment and just maybe pray for someone next to you? If you want to move around and go pray for someone in the hall, or just lift up the life groups, or just take a moment and pray, and then we're going to pray the notices. But just for another minute. I can see some wet eyes, I can see some sore hearts, and maybe you're sitting next to someone that's, I don't know, you just want to pray over them without making it awkward or difficult. If you know people, let's just spend some time in prayer for 2 minutes, and then we'll close off with the notice video.